Thank you, Candace. So my session really is to talk about AI and where we are today and where we're going, not just in the field of cosmetic surgery, but in life. I have no disclosures. Somehow people think I'm Dr. AI, but it's Al, so it looks like that. My background is oral and maxillofacial surgery, so I do jaw surgery, body cosmetic surgery, and facial cosmetic surgery. So how in the world did I get involved in this? A couple years ago, I took a course at MIT, and mostly because I started to realize the trend and how it was going to affect my two daughters, who are 18 and 22. And as they're starting the beginnings of their careers, I wanted to make sure that they were aware of what was going on, but how could they be aware if I wasn't? This is my favorite quote: "What the mind does not know, the eyes cannot see," by Sir William Osner. It really is true, and I want all of you to start to see. I got a quick question from the audience here. Who uses ChatGPT by a show of hands on a regular basis? Wow, so I would say that's quadrupled from last year. Okay, so we're all starting to get with the program. How many people in this room know what the singularity is as it relates to artificial intelligence? Familiar with that term? I got a couple. Okay. Well, hopefully you'll learn a little bit more about that towards the end here. Revolutions affecting humanity. You know, the agricultural revolution was, we start planting things and stop migrating to where the food is. Certainly the transportation revolution, when we stopped horse and buggies and started using cars. Advancing to the biotechnical revolution as a recent, but really what we're talking about now is the artificial intelligence evolution, not of just the machines, but ladies and gentlemen, of us. So there's a saying, if you take a frog and you put it in some warm water and you slowly heat it up on the stove, because it's an amphibian, it won't notice the temperature change and it'll eventually boil to death. Please don't do this at home, but to test it out. It's time for all of us to jump out of that boiling water, because it is boiling now. What is going on in the world is really happening now. And if you're not aware of it, it's because you're not paying attention. What is artificial intelligence? Well, I think most of us have a general idea. It's really machines, right, that think like a human being, like work like a neural network of the human brain. But I don't really like the term. First of all, is it artificial? No, it's real. And how do we really define intelligence? You know, we use the benchmark of the way we think, the way we function, but will AIs really work the way we do? Maybe in the beginning, but who knows what's coming. So I don't like the term. I'm gonna redefine that towards the end of this. But briefly, AIs, kind of started in the 50s. Alan Turing, you may know that name, kind of conceptualized machine intelligence. The term AI really wasn't developed until 1956, and then there was kind of a cooling phase. Not really much happened for a while. Now, most people in this room probably think AI is, recent. It's really been recent. Not true. The stages of AI have been going on for a while. Started going in the 70s. We're at this generative stage, okay, where, we prompt a machine, it gives us an answer, we learn some data, it can help us do things. These large language models do amazing things. But really, we're on the precipice of artificial general intelligence, and that's eventually going to proceed to what we call transcendent AI, which will be the so-called singularity event of artificial superintelligence, which I'll discuss more in a minute. There were 3 rules I think most AI developers kind of came up with to protect all of us, from AI. The first one was keep AI off the internet. Well, too late. Okay, it's everywhere. Don't teach AI to write computer code. Well, it writes about 70% of the computer code right now, maybe more. Okay, so much for that. Adhere to the primary principle of absolute truth without bias. Yeah, well, that doesn't exist either. I mean, DeepSeek, the Chinese AI, well, you can't ask questions about the Chinese Communist Party. It's going to censor that. And trust me, there's plenty of that within the existing AI platforms that all of us use now. So much for those safety rules. You know, back in 1983, the movie War Games with Matthew Broderick was interesting because, you know, he hacked into NORAD and started off with tic-tac-toe and quickly went to global thermonuclear war. And, you know, the computer was starting a thermonuclear war, but it didn't really realize, you know, this was real. And so, you know, there's a lot of discussion about AI. Does AI have awareness? And is that a bad thing? I think it's a good thing, honestly, because understanding how AI is going to impact humanity is very, very important. Again, it's not new. IBM's Deep Blue AI, you know, beat the world chess champion Garry Kasparov in 1997. It beat Google's DeepMind, beat the world Go champion back in 2016. Google AI, Gemini, scored 85% on the USMLE, which is at the expert level. Less than 10% of the people who take the USMLE score this level. ChatGPT 4, which is now obsolete, you know, passed the universal bar exam at 90th percentile. These things are getting smart. How smart are they today? Well, you know, I said Einstein was IQ of 160, Elon's about 155, same was ChatGPT. And again, that's old news. What is artificial general intelligence? Well, some people basically say it's smarter than the smartest human. And we may be there now. I don't know. Does the government have it? Probably. I would put it out there to say this may be humanity's last real invention, because artificial general intelligence should be able to create. It can write its own code, theoretically. It can improve itself. And eventually lots of AGIs out there may create artificial superintelligence, which is going to be a lot smarter than all of us. So there's been it's basically a space race, right? You've got the United States government as of recent investing $500 billion with, you know, NVIDIA, OpenAI, Oracle, and Microsoft to try to help advance the United States for AGI. You know, again, I mentioned DeepSeek, which came out a couple weeks ago, kind of crashed the internet, kind of crashed the stock market with tech stocks. There's a Chinese company. It's already had an update. It's free, but it's full of censorship. And that, of course, spurns a reaction from everybody else. So Elon came out with Grok 3 last week, which actually outperforms DeepSeek. And, you know, you got Google Gemini out there. This is Elon's city he built in Austin, Texas, with 200,000 GPUs of you know, NVIDIA chips running. And this is just the beginning. And, you know, they're talking about nuclear power plants trying to power these things because the demand for energy is incredible. NVIDIA, this was 2 days ago, just launched an AI that can write genomes. I mean, we're going to be creating life pretty soon. I'm not kidding, guys. This is beyond science fiction. So again, this space race is really, you know, very transient. I mean, what we know about it today, it's going to be very different next week. I spend about an hour a day early in the morning reading to try to understand what's happening next. This will blow your mind. Anybody heard of Willow? Okay, this is Google's quantum chip. Now, most chips work with bits, you know, zeros and ones. This works with qubits, quantum level particles that can oscillate back between zeros and ones. They're in a flux state. It did something in 5 minutes, which would take today's average supercomputers 10 septillion years. That's one with 25 zeros after it. What? How does it work? They don't really know. They theorize that there's other Willow chips out in parallel universes that are all communicating together to provide these answers that quickly. That'll spin your head. Again, does current AI possess consciousness? And I said earlier, I think it should, and it probably does to some degree. We think consciousness, again, based upon the way the human brain is, self-awareness. Yeah, I'm here right now in Palm Springs, and I have a finite lifetime. And, maybe I have a moral compass, hopefully I do. And, that's maybe our version of consciousness. Of course, we all fear Skynet, right? That's Terminator coming to kill us all. And that's, the version of humanity, dystopian future. I would like to purport that I believe this is going to be, for a while, a utopia. Because AI is going to improve everything we do, and you're not going to see this. And hopefully if AI is smart enough, it will actually want to protect us. So that's the advent of artificial superintelligence, where it becomes really, really, really smart. And it's hypothetical, but AGI might help figure out how to do it. We don't know how to do it yet, but it might. By 2023, AI is estimated to be 1 billion times smarter than humans. Ugh, that's staggering. Anybody ever heard of William James Sidus? I hadn't heard of him either. Born in 1898, he was believed to be the smartest human, IQ at the low end of 260. By age 4, he could read the Wall Street Journal cover to cover and understood it. He spoke 13 languages by the age of 9. He was accepted to Harvard University at age 9, but deferred till 11, graduated at 14, and was teaching at universities by 16 years of age. Why haven't we heard of him? Well, he became a recluse. He stopped really interacting with people, and he moved out and lived by himself and died alone. Why? Was it he was having a hard time relating to the rest of us? That's 300 times, 3 times human intelligence. So the singularity event really is something where the AI becomes so smart, does it not need us anymore, and we don't even understand what it's doing. That is the point in time where AI surpasses our understanding of what it is. AI is now obviously in robotics. You're going to see the advent of robots out there everywhere in the end of this year and starting into 2026 for sure. There are going to be a lot of changes, and these robots do amazing things, and they're powered by very smart AIs. The Tesla bot is, right now powered by Grok 3, which is Elon's latest. He said 3 days ago that he plans on launching the Starship in November of 2026 with Grok 3 Tesla bots going to Mars. So they're going first. This is a robot too. It's an F-16 fighter jet that outperforms all humans in dogfight combat in air. Imagine the drones that are out there. I mean, again, the military has things, of course, we don't know about, but this is real. I told my daughters they are the last generation to go to school, to go to college and universities. It's over. First of all, AIs are going to be teaching us better than teachers can. They'll be able to tailor our education far better, far more efficiently. But the part I'm going to talk about soon will even blow your mind even more as to why. AIs are really starting to become part of the culture. This movie in 2013, Her, with Scarlett Johansson and Joaquin Phoenix, people were developing relationships with their AI. Those of you that work with the voice command of ChatGPT know it learns and it adapts to you and it converses with you. And I know people that talk to these things every day, like their friend, their therapist, more so than they tell it things that they don't tell their spouse. It's unreal. So how are things going to go? Well, present day for the next 5 years, you're going to really see more integration of AI tools, AI cognitive tools, things that make us smarter, right? You write up a letter, you got to write, you drop it into ChatGPT, comes out a lot better than you could have done. Okay, but add to that the things that are going on today with the brain-computer interfaces, with Elon Musk's Neuralink, and we're augmenting humans already. Intelligence amplification, making us smarter. That's the next 5 years. These augmented reality tools in surgery, of course, you can overlay your CT, MRI, whatever, over the patient through augmented reality glasses and navigate far better than you ever could before. Neuralink is right now, it's implanted in 3 people. They estimate over 150 people between United States and Canada in the next year. And, you know, right now it's helping them move a cursor on a mouse for quadriplegics, but pretty soon it's going to be moving prosthetic limbs. And, of course, blind sight is the latest, where it's going to help blind people see. And maybe with infrared vision, and maybe you could see a mile away. By 2030 to 2040, you might have semi-invasive BCIs, where you don't have to drill holes and do craniotomies anymore. And, you know, you're going to start to see widespread use of AI assistants. You know, we're not going to be alone anymore on a daily basis. They're everywhere. The robots will be everywhere. By 2040, 2050, this is what I was trying to allude to earlier, this is us becoming cyborgs, okay? And it's not just about output, motor output to move prosthetics, it's about input, bringing data into the human brain so that we can actually, rather than diverging from AI, kind of, you know, if you can't beat them, join them. What is going to happen to our society? You know? Yeah, I mean, natural stupidity is a real thing, right? But I think that, you know, what is going to happen? How is this going to impact you, your practice, your family, your next generation? Well, here's the truth, guys, and I'm not trying to be, you know, negative, but it's going to be massive job displacement. We're probably going to be moving towards something called universal basic income. New forms of employment, resource-based economy, and really redefining human purpose. The next 10 years, you'll see trillionaires. These are the guys and ladies that own these companies. 20 to 30% unemployment within the next 10 years. High-risk jobs will probably be manufacturing, retail, transportation, and data entry. So if your kids are going to that, tell them to do something different. By 2045, 40 to 60% unemployment. Really, again, the challenge of redefining human purposes. You can say stop all you want, but you're not going to stop it. And then thereafter, 70% unemployment by 2055. You're going to see decoupling of work and income, and obviously major geopolitical power shifts. We will be cyborgs by 2055. I said I didn't like the term artificial intelligence earlier, and I think the reality is that we're creating something new. And I would propose to you that this is really the dawn of the age of digital beings, of which we may be merging with. So we got to jump out of the water, and we got to start to get involved. This is why I propose that we start this committee with the AACS. I ask that you get involved in it, because things never happen as fast as you think they will. But when you look back, they always seem to have happened faster than you thought, right? That's me going to Mars. The AI helped me create that. I'm not really going to Mars. Thank you very much.